Ashanti Central. Mr. Speaker, on the 5th of March 2025, between the hours of 18:30 and 19 hours, Ashanti Central experienced an unfortunate
Please. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Please. Look. Sorry, yeah, but he didn't give us copies. We don't have copies. Mr. Speaker, I was requesting for copies of the statement because we don't have copies of the statement. So if you can furnish us with copies of the statement, please.
Honourable members, order. Honourable members, resume your seats. Honourable, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the 5th of March 2025, between the hours of 18:30 and 19, Ashanti Central experienced an unfortunate fire outbreak and explosions that were close to what had happened at Eeeiii on the 20th of January 2022. Mr. Speaker, the cause of the fire started with lightning and thunderstorm. The lightning struck a shop at Odumasi Zongo and caught fire. There were other shops that were adjoined to this particular shop, and the fire extended to these other shops. Unfortunately, there were in these shops the presence of high pressure vessels and other high combustibles. The fire burned rapidly as the high combustibles exploded rapidly to the nearby houses. And since the houses contained high pressure vessels, it resulted to adding to the flames that had engulfed in the town. Mr. Speaker, a good Samaritan invited the Ghana National Fire Service, which is sited about 300 meters from the place of the disaster. The Ghana National Fire Service was there on time at exactly 19:08 hours and were preparing to mount a fight of the fire when a young man benevolently informed the fire service personnel to reverse the vehicle to safety. Whilst the young man was leading the fire appliance to reverse to safety, there was another explosion that hit the fire appliance with registration number WRTFS318. In the process, the innocent young man was hit by the explosion and was dismembered. He was rushed to the hospital but died that evening at the hospital. The vehicle of the Ghana National Fire Service was severely damaged and 5 personnel, including the pump operator, were severely injured. The crew of the Ghana National Fire Service were therefore overpowered by the events and quickly invited personnel of the other colleagues from H0ttest to fight the fire. 3 lives were lost on that day. Vincent Opoku, aged 18, died at the Ashanti Government Hospital. Florence Boachi, aged 58, also lost her life. And Akwasi Minta, aged 25, also lost his life. His charred body was found next to the burnt shops thereafter. A 4th person named Rabiu Suleiman, aged 18, was also hit by the explosion and rushed to the Agogo Presbyterian Hospital, and was later transferred to the Konfuanote Teaching Hospital, who died also on the 10th of March 2025. Mr. Speaker, 11 in all, including the 5 firefighters, were severely injured. About 30 domestic, institutional, and commercial buildings, as well as other properties, were totally or partially destroyed. Some of the injured persons are in critical condition at Konfuanote Teaching Hospital. Now, Speaker, we are grateful to the Ashanti Regional Minister, the Ashanti North Regional Police Commander, the Regional EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, and Minerals Commission, as well as the national security and major stakeholders who have visited the scene and helped investigate and sympathize with the affected. Mr. Speaker, the shop owners that had the explosives were invited by the police and investigations are ongoing. I believe the law will take its course. Mr. Speaker, the firefighters are also receiving medical attention at various hospitals. Mr. Speaker, I now call on government, members of the public, philanthropists, and organizations to turn to Ashanti Central and assist the affected people at Odumasi. It is my prayer that the law enforcement agencies would investigate and recommend the handling of explosives within Odumasi, Ashanti in general, that's the constituency, as well as the rest of the country, to prevent future occurrence of this unfortunate incident. May the souls of the innocent that have departed rest in perfect peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member for Ashanti Akim. Yes, Honourable Zanato.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. It's Zanato. And I would like to thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the statement made by our colleague. The incidence of fires occurring in our communities across our constituencies and markets is becoming all too common. And Mr. Speaker, it's starting to cause great concern to all of us, especially given the level of damage, the death toll, and the effect on livelihoods to our constituents. I would like to take the opportunity to offer my condolences to the families of the bereaved, as well as wish a speedy recovery to the personnel and other persons who played their role in bringing the fire under control. Mr. Speaker, there is a need for urgent retooling of the Ghana National Fire Service. Time and again, when they come before the Committee on Defense and Interior, the budget that they require in order to be able to fulfill their mandate and protect our citizens and properties is never up to the level that is required. And time and again, they face problems even accessing some of the places where there are fires, because certain rules and regulations are not adhered to when it comes to the building of certain structures. Mr. Speaker, the illegal electricity connections that are also made are key to what is happening in our various markets, as well as the fact that sometimes the fire hydrants are not accessible to the Ghana National Fire Service. Mr. Speaker, if we are to see indeed a change in the trend that we keep seeing, then there has to be an all-of-government and all-of-sector approach to how these issues are approached. I do add my voice to the maker of this statement with regards to what has to be done as a matter of urgency to actually curb this incident of fires. Mr. Speaker, in 2020, there was a similar incident that happened in my constituency in the Novotel market, after which promises were made for this market to be reconstructed. As we speak today, Mr. Speaker, this market has still not been reconstructed. The most recent incident of a market under fire was with the Kantamanto market, and we've seen what happened, the level of destruction. Mr. Speaker, this has to be looked at. All our markets have to be made really friendly to those there. There have to be regular fire drills. People in communities must know what to do when there's a fire. There have to be compulsory installation of fire extinguishers. Even here in Parliament, Mr. Speaker, we don't know the fire drills because we are not taken through them. We are not clear on what the exit strategy should be in the case of an emergency. Mr. Speaker, as a nation, we need to take it more seriously what to do in the event of these occurrences. It's all well and good not to put the systems in place until something goes wrong, until people die, until people's lives are damaged, people are injured, and we keep coming back to the floor and lamenting about these issues, but we're not addressing them. And I really appeal to our Minister for the Interior to really take a close look at what is being done in terms of supporting the Ghana National Fire Service and local government with regards to what happens at the level of the Assembly so that they are empowered to do what is right and not to take some kind of favoritism approaches to who is going to be asked to abide by the law and who is allowed to get away with infringing on the rules and regulations regarding building and access. And so, Mr. Speaker, I hope that given the tragedy of what is being brought on the floor today, we shall use this as a springboard to do what is right across the country to provide more security in terms of prevention of fires and how we address these emergencies in our various communities. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the statement and to commend the maker of the statement, the Honourable Member for Ashanti Central, a very respected Member of Parliament, and to join my colleagues in extending sincere condolences and sympathies to the families of the lives that have sadly been lost through this tragic incident, and also to signal our sympathies for the speedy recovery of the personnel of the National Fire Service, as well as some residents of Odumase who are currently recovering at the various hospitals. Mr. Speaker, with this statement, we understand that the 5th of March was a sad day for Odumase, and indeed a sad day for Ghana. The nature and the scale of disaster is one that cannot be overemphasized. We have seen similar scale of disaster of this nature in this country. We saw one happening at Apiati so sadly in 2022, where lives were lost. About 17 lives were lost in that instance. In this particular incident, we are told that currently some 5 persons have sadly lost their lives, and others in critical condition, with properties that have been razed down in explosion. But the properties and stores may be reconstructed, but the lives lost cannot be recovered. So it's important that as this is brought to the fore, we follow up keenly, lessons drawn from it, scaled up across the country to be on the preventive side to ensure that the storage and sale of explosives are enforced, the regulations of this enterprise is well enforced across the country, and we do not wait for another incident of this nature to reoccur. But Ghana has demonstrated, Mr. Speaker, to be a state of empathy, a state that sympathizes with its citizens whenever such incidents occur. A reference to Apiate incident where the government, the state, led efforts in reconstructing the entire village, restoring livelihood to the community. Much the same example was demonstrated a few days ago when in the budget of 2025, when the budget was read by the Minister for Finance, we found expression in that same budget an allocation of 242 million cedis allocated to supporting victims of the Akosombo Dam village. Same was also seen an allocation of 200 million cedis to support the victims of the tidal waves affecting communities in Ketu South. These are very commendable budgetary allocations. Equally deserving are the people of Odumase. It is my appeal that the state, consistent with that same sympathy, would allocate a commensurate budgetary allocation, emergency fund of its kind, to support restoring livelihood to those who have lost their properties, who have lost their stores, and to even support the personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service who are currently pending recovery, who may never be able to return to work again, and to restoring the equipment that were destroyed in the process. But just as my colleague who earlier spoke has indicated, the Ghana National Fire Service, a time has come more than ever before that a complete retooling befitting of a state as Ghana is done to ensure that in every district we have the right equipment and fire tender available to be able to fight such incident promptly when they happen. It took the support of the Ghana National Fire Service Station from Ajuso to travel all the way to support when the fire service at Odumase were empowered. So with these few words, Mr. Speaker, consistent with the rules of this House, may I invite you to refer this statement further to the Committee on Defense and Interior and jointly with the Ministry of Committee on Finance to follow up on the investigations and subsequent support that the state could give in supporting the victims of this sad incident. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this particular statement. Let me start off by thanking the maker of the statement and also add my voice in sympathizing with those who are injured and also to the bereaved families who have lost their families as a result of this fire outbreak. Mr. Speaker,
Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the effort of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honourable members, there being no message from the President, no formal communication by the Speaker, we move to item numbered 5, correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. Honourable members, the vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 12 March 2025 under consideration. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7.
The place for the people. I just hope that the current government will take this matter up and do a similar thing
Mr. Speaker,
for the constituents of my good friends, the Honorable Kwame Eeeiii.
I was very present in
Give the place or give the people some respite and some relief. I can imagine that through no fault of yours, you have no place to sleep.
Page 8.
Through no fault of yours, you've lost everything. School kids have lost their certificates. People who were working before have lost virtually everything. They are just left with nothing other than what they are wearing. And Mr. Speaker, if you have gone through such a traumatic situation, then you would understand that it is very traumatic. It's something that you don't know what he's wearing. He has no money. He has no access. He has no life. He has no record. The person has virtually nothing. And that's what some of these people are facing today. To the extent that people have lost their lives. Mr. Speaker, why should we not have learned from what happened in the past at Ay3butubutu for a similar thing to have happened? That we are keeping explosives not in a confined environment, but in our houses and in our shops. Why is that possible? How is it even possible? I remember when the Ay3butubutu thing happened, we took a deliberate decision that all explosives, especially for the mining company, should be traceable. From the port, through the storage, to the user, it should all be traceable so that we can trace and know exactly where each explosive is. Mr. Speaker, explosives are not just used for mining. Explosives can be used for many, many other things that can be very detrimental to you and myself in terms of security. Because somebody can take an explosive and make an IED out of it. IED is just improvised explosive device and create chaos in this country. And so I'm still a bit worried that explosives are still being kept as if they are normal commodities. They are not. They are a security threat, and we should worry ourselves about it. Mr. Speaker, the other matter that this statement raises is very important. How do we plan our settlements? To the extent that when one house catches fire, then you have 30 houses all raised down. A structure, a kiosk catches fire, and about 30 houses are raised down. The fire service people are having. What vehicles are they using? I do know that they've been attempts to resource them. I think the major overhaul happened between 2013 and 2014. But I still think that the National Fire Service needs a lot of capital injection to encourage them to have at least good equipment to help us. You can never tell. But I want to also support the statement raised by the honorable member, Honorable Zanoto. Zanoto is the Z, so Z-A, so it's correct. It's not Z-E, Z-A. So the Z-A is the correct one. Mr. Speaker, all she was asking is, we being members of parliament, how many of us have fire extinguishing offices? How many? If there's a fire today in your office, how many of us would have the first fire extinguisher to be able to put it up in our own office, not to talk of in our cars? Maybe cars because of police and people chasing our maid, but in our offices, do we? In our homes. Even when you have it, do you even know how to use it? It is important for us as Ghanaians to be able to do things or be able to know what can save your life and what can save your property. Because there are a lot of people, if they had some of this equipment, they would have been able to save themselves. In those days, our people used to have communal spirit. So when the house is burning, you see everybody fetching water and running there to quench it or throw it over. But that communal spirit is virtually disappearing because of mistrust. And that is the reason why people are building walls around their houses. Walls that are higher than even the building itself. They themselves are trapped in that prison they call a wall. Because when, God forbid, a thief enters your house through the gate and locks the gate, you are dead. Because nobody can see you. Nobody can see that building. Nobody can see what is happening inside you. And many people have died because of that. It is because the communal spirit is gone. Because I do know that in those days, if you attacked a Ghanaian house, several other people will rush to find out. But today, when somebody shouts in their houses, the first thing is to go and lock his gate. That's the sort of society we live in. The first instinct of your neighbor is to go and lock his gate, close his windows, and because he does not want to get involved. But in those days, it was not like that. In the days of our forefathers, our grandfathers, they will rush to find out what is happening to assist their neighbor. Today, it's totally different. So, Mr. Speaker, there are several things that this statement teaches us. And that's why I want to support the call by the honorable member that you should refer this statement to the appropriate committee so that they will take it up, especially the Committee on Defense and Interior, investigate it, because it seems to me that we haven't learned from what happened in the past. Because if we had learned, then the storage of explosives would not have been in their kiosks. Then the way fire service themselves have been responded would not have been, even though we want to thank them and praise them for their response. Even when others were getting injured, the people at Ashanti and Konongo, the people were getting injured, those in the Jusu had to rush to come. Of course, there was a small distance, and because of traffic, sometimes their response time would have been a bit slow. But, Mr. Speaker, it tells us that we didn't learn what happened after Apietu, to the extent that an explosive happens, and now we have a similar situation on our hands. Are we going to allow a third situation to happen before we'll be able to learn? No, we should not allow that. So, if the committee investigated it, of course, it was not a parliamentary committee. I expect that Parliament should set up their own committee on this one, investigate it, and make recommendations that will stick, that should work, and allow the executive to implement those committees, those recommendations, so that we don't have a similar situation. Mr. Speaker, Cantonment, as he said, just happened recently, where just fire at one place raised down virtually everything. Our markets, the way they plan them and the way things are, our buildings, this does not happen in the French countries. You cannot build a house in the French-speaking countries unless certain things are put. Utilities, things including roads, including water, access roads, the designs and the places are done before you come and build. But unfortunately, ours is not like that. Because people sell land illegally, this person, they will sell to you, and when they say build, and when someone is coming, the workers will run away, another person will come and sell, and the whole place is not planned. So if you were to fly over Accra, I had the privilege of using a lot of quarters, and I could know, if you fly over Accra and you see that a lot of the roads have dead ends. The road is going, and then there's a dead end because somebody has built across it and has blocked it because either the person has power or that. And so when there is a problem, it's difficult for the fire service to assess the place. They are building on waterways, Mr. Speaker, and very soon during the rainy season, you will face it. People have gone to build on waterways, they have gone to build block roads, and you know that this has been demarcated for road, but somebody, a powerful person or whatever, will go and build because, I use the word powerful person because, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, they are not able to break down these houses. And if you were to go to Weja area, they have virtually taken over and built on all the waterways. So you see thousands of houses sitting in water. If you fly over, or if you fly a helicopter over, then whenever it rains, you see thousands of water or hundreds sitting on water, sitting inside water, houses upon houses. Who are the owners? Did they get permit to build? How did they build? What sort of society are we building? So this statement is loaded with a lot of things that we should do, Mr. Speaker, and these are the things that should concern us as members of parliament. I want to sympathize with you, my honorable friends, and sympathize with your constituents, all those who lost their lives, and see how we can support them to be able to survive. At least, in the meantime, to get food to eat, NADMO should be able to go there and find something. And that's why I would say, as part of it, the community should look at how they can be able to support NADMO. Because NADMO, unfortunately, is not resourced enough to be able to rush in and help the people and do what they need to do. And unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, I get into the rainy season. Worst of this will happen. I'm not praying for it, but it's true that we're going to have worse situations like this. Tidal waves was somewhere in the Volta region. It's across the whole coast. Because of environmental changes, the nature of our society is changing. Things we used not to see before are happening. We've cut down virtually all the trees. So we are having difficulties all over as a country. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to call and support the fact that we should support the people. They are our own people. Today they are helpless. We should find a way of getting government to at least support them. Government has been supporting other countries who fall in disaster. So we are bringing this, the member is bringing this to the attention of government to at least find a way of supporting so that the people can get something and something to live on. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and may the souls of the innocent who have departed this earth rest in perfect peace. Till we meet again, but not when I'm 90 years. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Leadership, any comment on the statement?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't have, I think all issues have been expressed out here. But just to remind you that there was a plea that it should be referred to a committee to look at it. Thank you. Committee on Defense
Very well.
and Interior. Thank
Very
you.
well. My worry is that the proposal of the statement is telling us that the law enforcement agencies should investigate the matter. Honorable Achampong. Honorable Nyedu, I'm just making reference to the second to last paragraph of your statement. So, Honorable Achampong.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me also join colleagues to extend my condolences to our friends who lost their lives through this tragic accident. And then those who sustained some injuries, it's my prayer that God will grant them a speedy recovery so that they will come back and do whatever they are supposed to do for their communities. Mr. Speaker, members have raised a lot of issues referring to what happens in appeal 2. So the point is, the point is, are we learning lessons from all these things? So the issue will happen, we'll comment on it, and we'll go to sleep. This statement will be referred to the committee, they will generate a report, they will task government to intervene, NADMO and Ghana National Service will intervene. What about we, the citizens? What lessons are we drawing from all these things? Mr. Speaker, you will see a truck carrying highly inflammable products. Or involved in an accident, people will rush to the scene to siphon fuel from this vehicle. By the end of the day, some will get burnt. We've seen it severally. So what is happening to us? When you're driving through Konongo, because it's a mining community, you see all these things over there. People are selling them. And we have the security agencies, regulatory authorities. What are they doing to save this situation, Mr. Speaker? We live in a country where somebody can just walk to a shop and buy an acid, buy explosive, without any check. And we expose ourselves into all these things. We come back, it's like a talk show, we lament on it, that ends it. The very people that we are trying to support are not ready to change their lifestyle. So we have a very big challenge on our hands, Mr. Speaker. Ghana Fire Service is not well retooled. Let's give them the needed resources so that they can also work according to time. But according to the statement, they were there on time. Mr. Speaker, the question is the gentleman who was trying to aid them, who was trying to direct the vehicle, are you a trained firefighter? You are not. That is not your fault. Trained officers have arrived. They are coming to do their work. And you are there to direct where they should park their vehicle. By the end of the day, you've lost your life. There's no insurance cover for you. But the officers, at least, there is an insurance cover for them. So, former Defense Minister said the communal spirit is almost gone. He was trying to also rejuvenate that, let people see that, okay, he's also supporting to fight the fire, but at the end of the day, he's gone. So sometimes, I'm not saying we should mind our business, sometimes we should allow the experts to do their work. So, Honorable Member, he was trying to save the situation, but at the end of the day, what happened? Because he's not an expert. He's not trained to do that job. But the one who called the fire service did what was expected of him. Because he pressed the call, the fire service officers also came on time, but the guy who was at the scene trying to direct the truck or supporting them has also lost his life. My condolences to the bereaved family. And Mr. Speaker, I don't know your final ruling on this matter. Even if the statement is referred to the committee, a report will be generated, resources will be made available to the affected families or the victims. But Mr. Speaker, we should do proper education. But if you're educating somebody, the person is not ready to take the education, it becomes, it's like you're wasting your resources because we are not ready to take the education. We don't value our lives. You've seen a danger coming, but it's like, okay, I will either die or survive. We can't gamble with our life. You know you are selling explosives. You know there's no mechanism in case of any fire outbreak to deal with the matter. But because he's making good money out of it, nobody cares about the consequences. Here we are talking about the same issues. So, Mr. Speaker, our state institutions should also help us, give us the needed education. The state must also invest more into this, especially the security agencies, fire service, so that whenever there are issues like this, they can also at least attend to those issues and deal with it, so that at least when you're going to sleep, you know that in case of any issue, there's somebody there to rescue you. I thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, let me add my voice to the statement ably made by Honourable Kwame Anyimeru Entry, Member of Parliament for the area under reference, and also extend my deepest condolences to the bereaved families of the 5 who lost their life in the incidents. I wish those who are injured, receiving treatment at hospital, a very speedy recovery. Honourable members, similar statements are made in the past. It's either referred to a committee or transmitted to the sector minister. But the question therefore is, do we follow up to ensure that whatever recommendations the committee is coming out with are implemented, or to ensure whether the sector minister has really carried out investigation into the matter and the needful is done? Honourable members, your guess is as good as mine. Honourable members, on this occasion, I will want to direct that the statement be transmitted to the minister responsible for Interior to ensure that proper investigation is conducted into this matter. If anybody found culpable, the law must take its own course. Honourable members, the fire service is under the minister responsible for Interior. If there is a need to retool fire service, it will rest on the shoulder of the minister responsible for Interior. Therefore, let the statement be transmitted to the minister responsible for Interior for thorough investigation, and through the fire service, the general public should be educated about the handling of explosives in this country. Honourable members, I accordingly direct. Honourable members, statement time has ended. Majority, Deputy Majority Leader, any indication?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, tomorrow we are starting a workshop, and it's going to be a long weekend. So I suggest that we bring proceedings to a close for today and be back here tomorrow for the workshop. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Minority Leader.
Honourable Speaker, I add my voice to the earlier suggestion made by the Deputy Majority Leader for us to adjourn. Thank you.
Honourable members, before adjourning the House, let me once again remind ourselves that tomorrow the post-budget workshop is commencing, and we are all supposed to be here in our numbers for the exercise. And honourable members are hereby kindly informed that for the purposes of registration for the program, when we are coming, we should come along with our identity cards. Honourable members, let's come along with our identity cards. Honourable members, the motion for adjournment has been moved and seconded. Those in favour of adjournment say aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House is accordingly adjourned till Tuesday, 18th March 2025 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, tomorrow, what time? Time tomorrow.
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.